Bark. Okay, so we have it's a new setup here in the train station. There's been some work done here, and I'm a little bit concerned that the video is not going to go okay. It seems to be going okay so far, but it does seem a little bit stuttery, doesn't it?
It does.
Okay, well, we'll see. You let us know if you have any problems with audio or video, and otherwise, we're just going to keep rolling along. I see Susan joining us from Lebanon, Tennessee.
Nice.
I think.
Yep, Tennessee.
One of our Herd Talk supporters. Thanks for joining us.
Welcome, welcome.
Okay, let's dive into the top 10 questions that new dog owners have. And
Ken didn't show these to me ahead of time, so I'm very curious to see what they're going to be.
Yeah, we actually pulled these from a list of comments and sort of like weighed that against comments that we get from in-person students, as well as like recent videos that we have shot.
Cool.
So I'm going to pull this down. We'll put in question number 1. When should my dog go to bed? Now, this is such an interesting question because people are kind of, I think, trying to reverse engineer like when they get up in the morning. But let's talk a little bit without going too deep
or
into
they're
like
like thinking about it as like a kid.
Yeah,
Bedtime
right.
is so important for a kid.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think so little effort or so little attention is put in just after dinner time to planning for that overnight. It's so funny when we create content with puppy training, house training, specifically when we've shot our puppy vlogs, no one can believe that a puppy, even after just a couple of nights home, could sleep through the whole night.
Yeah.
But if you do it right, or let me know in the chat, are you struggling with a dog who gets you up overnight? That's going to be, I'm interested to find that out. But it has everything to do with what you do well before bedtime. But we get the question specifically, what time should my dog go to bed? And what would be your answer for that, Kel?
When do you want them to go to bed?
Right. Yeah.
Dogs are really cool. I mean, when they're puppies, obviously they don't have as much leeway because they have to, learn a bit of a schedule. They need to train their bladder, how to hold it all night long, that type of thing. But the cool thing about dogs and puppies is they are extremely adaptable, and everybody has different lifestyles. Some people are early risers, some people are night owls, and puppies can learn to kind of get into the groove of the family. So it really doesn't matter. I think Ken kind of asked a good question. What time do you want to get up? Because, some puppies, if you're, putting them to bed at like 9 o'clock or 8 p.m., it wouldn't be unusual for a young puppy to wake up really early in the morning needing to go outside versus like a puppy that goes down at 11, maybe they can go till 8, 9 or whatever in the morning a little bit more easily, of course, after a little bit of overnight crate training. So the blunt answer is whenever you want, within reason. Yeah. And what Ken was alluding to before is one of the things that we find allows our puppies to have a more successful nighttime routine or sleeping through the night, not having any accidents, not making any noise, is what happens the hour, 2 hours before we actually put them in their crate for that final time before the night. Because by the time we put them away, they, we've made sure they've used their brain a little bit so they're mentally ready to shut it down. We've done something physical with the puppy so that they've got some exercise, which usually helps induce, having to have a poop. We've restricted their water. They've eaten early enough that they have enough time to poop before you take them to bed. Yeah. We've done a bit of wind down, before they go into their crate at night. So by the time they go into their crate, they're kind of ready. They're ready to go to sleep and wake up the next morning. And the cool thing is that if you have a good routine that you can repeat every night, that routine just starts to come more naturally because the puppy kind of knows the drill. In saying that, though, don't get too obsessed with a routine. Yeah. If you feed them a little later than normal or they're going to bed a little later than normal, whatever, just don't worry about it. Honestly, it's just not that big of a deal. I always say that, when I'm raising my dogs, I typically, we do have a sort of a, they usually eat breakfast around 8:30. They usually eat dinner around 5:30. But sometimes they eat dinner at 6:45. Tonight they ate at 7:15. Yeah. And you know what? They just sort of go with the flow. So don't get too stuck on it, but also understand that if you're struggling, a routine can help you get back on track. But don't stress if it's not perfect.
So I don't see this in our list, but what about when should a dog eat? When should they go to bed? When should they have their meals?
Again, dog dependent. There's some puppies that when they eat, they'll need to go to the bathroom like very quickly after they eat. And then there's other dogs that, need to let it digest for a little while, or they need like a little bit of exercise or that type of thing. So I certainly wouldn't feed them and then just put them to bed. I know sometimes puppies will sleep on a full stomach, but you're probably asking for them to get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, so I wouldn't recommend that. But they need enough time that they can, have time to go to the bathroom and to chill out.
Yeah. Well, and you don't want to create so much structure that 5 o'clock's here, I gotta feed the dog.
Yeah.
You
then they start demand barking because they insist that you need food, and people are like, oh, they're hungry, and then they feed them, and then now you've just created a vicious circle. So yeah, our rule is just basically, I'll feed you when I'm ready, and we typically are consistent.
Yeah, for sure.
But we're not hard fast to it.
Yeah. Well, and you need to have flexibility. You want this dog to be a bigger part of your life, and you're probably fairly flexible. If you don't eat at 6, maybe you eat at 20 after 6 or whatever.
Helpful for traveling. It's helpful when you have to have somebody dog sit your dog.
So introducing that flexibility to them is going to be really important. And it's also, as you're going to learn over the course of these 10 questions, it's also going to be really important as you plan out some of the structure in your day. Because a lot of these questions are going to talk about those very specific situations that people just aren't too sure about. Mm-hmm. And either they overvalue the importance or undervalue the importance of the decision making. Mm-hmm. So let's dive in to question 2. How long can they hold their bladders for? Now this is a wide range.
I talked about this, but
and there's no hard and fast rules about this. It has a lot more to do with the preparation and when did they last go. Kel mentioned something really important, and it talked about when she talked about the overnight. Sometimes when you do some physical activity with your puppy or dog, a dog in training, whether it be a game of tug or something active, it can stimulate that bowel movement. So when we talk about them holding their bladders, we're going to have to factor in number 2 as well. So taking them out, getting them doing something, moving around, doing some physical activity of some kind can stimulate both of those things. Once your puppy or dog has gone to the bathroom, you have a little bit more time now. However, it's a little bit dog dependent. Can we talk about how we can scale up the amount of time?
Yeah. Before we do that, I think we also have to remember that it is dog dependent for sure. Sometimes it has to do with their size. So we have border collies. We had a black lab. We also have a toy poodle. She's only about 6 pounds. And, she has to pee a little more often than some of the other dogs, especially when she was a puppy because her bladder is a lot smaller. So you do have to kind of make your decisions within reason based on your puppy or on your dog, but also recognize that when you can train your dog to hold their bladder longer by making sure that you're not letting them out to a routine that isn't something that you're going to want to maintain in the future. I don't know about you, but I certainly wouldn't want to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning every single night to let my dog out to go potty. So you do have to make sure that you can train them as well. Now, you're not going to go from a half an hour to expect them to go 8 hours overnight. That's not realistic. But you can push the boundary initially by 15-minute increments. That's a good starting point, maybe a half hour. And I usually find once they get to a half hour point, you're usually away to the races from there in terms of how long. I am apprehensive to give you an hourly suggestion though, because it can be quite dog dependent. It also depends on what their routine is currently and how that would change for you. But to give you just something to compare it against, with our puppies, say at 10 weeks old, so I would have had them home for 2 weeks at that point. We usually by that point, after being home for 2 weeks, we can probably put them out for their last pee. Ken and I stay up really late at night, but usually we would let them out at 10:30, 11 for the last time. Put them in their crate. Usually our puppies sleep in our room with us, and I would probably get up at between 8 and 8:30, I would say, to let the puppy out for a pee. The first couple nights home, I would get up if I heard them stirring in the night, definitely because they probably would have to pee at that point. And after night 3, 4 or so, if they start to stir in the middle of the night, I would just try to shush them a little bit, wait about 15 minutes, and then take them out. The next night, I would probably wait a half hour or so, and then usually that by that time, especially combining that with all the house training stuff that we're doing throughout the day, they usually can go the rest of the night. And I do personally find, from my own experience, that dogs can typically hold their bladder more easily for a longer period of time during the nighttime than they can the daytime, because there's so much less stimulation. You know, the room's dark, you're sleeping, there's nothing to look at. They're not moving around in their crate like they would if they were like in your kitchen and the family was like doing their thing. So just food for thought.
Let's go. So basically, how long do I have to get up throughout the night? Yeah, I see a couple of warnings. So if you just refresh your page, and I guess you wouldn't hear me if there is no audio.
Can we write it?
No.
Well, you can't because our keyboard's being silly.
Okay. So this, you actually
I already answered that one.
led into a good question. Yeah, actually I was showing it as you were answering it. But I like this one. And specifically, I like it when we're talking about overnight. So let's talk a little bit about like in the house during the day or in your home during the day, and then a little bit about overnight. Now, this is I want you to keep in mind, if you have a dog in training that's struggling with potty or house training, you need to take them out every time they come out of their crate, after they have a meal, every time you have a play session, anytime they wake up from a nap, and before they go back into their crate. So that's really important, as long as you're sort of checking those boxes. If you can't remember the last time you took them out, you're still in house training mode and you just can't quite remember when that was, that's a good time to take them out, because the more you can minimize the accidents, the better your life will be. The last thing you want is for your dog to learn that it's okay to sneak away and go pee in the house, or it's okay to go sneak away and poop in the living room kind of thing. But I do want to really focus in a little bit on overnight and like that figuring out how to make it longer and longer throughout the night when the puppy might be fussing in their crate or their kennel.
Maybe you start with your answer, because I kind of already just talked about that, so I don't want to repeat myself.
Yeah, so
I feel like you're looking for a certain direction, and
yeah,
I'm not picking
that's
up what you
totally
mean.
okay. So quite specifically, if you have gone to bed, the puppy's in their kennel, and they start to fuss a little bit at night, you know, what's your first response? And again, we talk a lot about moving the crate close to the bed so that you can interact with them, soothe them maybe a little bit, but they persist. That is, what would you do if they keep fussing, they keep whining? You know, you're gauging the response.
It would just depend on how long the puppy's been home, how long their house training is going in general. I would need to then decide at that moment, is the fussing because they just don't want to be in their crate, or are they trying to communicate with me? Or are they trying to say, like, let me out, I have to go pee? I would, you know, if it's early on in the journey, I might give the puppy the benefit of the doubt and take them outside for a quick potty break. But when I do that, I'm going to keep it really neutral. I'm not going to, you know, snuggle and like make it a big deal and play with them outside.
That is so important.
And all of those things. I'm going to very clinically take them out of the crate, be very neutral, take them outside, work our potty, hurry up, praise them when they go, pick them up, go back in, put them back in the crate. I would keep it very...
all business.
Very neutral. Because obviously sometimes if you're like, oh, poor puppy, you have to go pee, all those things, the puppies are like, huh, I can't wait for you to let me out again, because you're going to just give me all these snuggles and loves. So not that you need to be angry or anything, but just be neutral. If you suspect that your puppy's just stirring and they're just had enough of being in their crate, and they've been home for a few days and you're pretty confident that they really don't need to pee, or maybe you're at the point now where you're trying to push a little bit more to get them to hold it a little bit longer, then I would first try and use my voice to settle them. So I might use command like quiet or settle or something like that. And I... probably will sound like a bit of a crazy person, but I actually find it really helpful for the first couple weeks that my puppies are home to have them sleep in a crate, literally on my bedside table, like up at my face level. And the reason why I like that is I find that it does help settle the puppy a bit more because I'm like right there with them, opposed to just letting them sleep loose in the bed, where I could roll on them, they could chew, they could have an accident, they could jump off the bed, who knows what's going to happen. So definitely inside the crate is going to be better information, but also safer. But then when I'm right there, I can stick my fingers in the crate, or I can wiggle the crate door, I can bop the top of the crate a little bit to sort of disrupt the dog. And then when they settle, good quiet, that's better, good quiet. And then I'm going to evaluate, am I actually going to let you out? Or do I think you're just going to stir around a few times and then lay down and go back to sleep? And honestly, sometimes that's often what happens.
Yeah,
You just sort of interrupt them a little bit. They might whine for a few more moments, and then you sort of see them regroup and circle and lay back down and go back to sleep again. And then in some cases, you're good till the morning.
Yeah, and I mean, it sounds easy when we've had so many puppies, gone through this so many times.
Yeah, that's true. You also just can't get all fired up about it.
That's right, exactly. I'll tell you what you want to avoid. You don't want to introduce the idea that when your puppy fusses in their crate that they're going to go out and it's going to be party time out in the backyard or, outside or somewhere else. It's really important. Kale mentioned being clinical. I love that as a description for how you're all business. We're going outside. I'm going to have you on leash or on your house line. We're going to stand in an absolute still spot, and I'm going to let you do your thing. And then we're going right back to the crate. We're going right back to bed, because you don't want your puppy to find too much value in getting up at 3:30 in the morning and then going out and having a great time. Otherwise, this is going to continue happening. And if you are diurnal, if you are a person who is awake during the day and likes to sleep at night, you don't want this. So it's important to remember.
If your puppy's sleeping, absolutely under no circumstance should you be setting an alarm and getting your puppy up to go pee.
Right. Yeah.
That's what my
let a sleeping
adorable,
puppy
beautiful cousin was doing, and I was like, how are you going to live your life that way?
Right. Well, I mean,
but she just didn't know that you didn't have to do that. She thought she was being diligent, and she thought my puppy's little. Obviously, they have to hold their pee.
Totally.
So that's really important. Also, there's a whole other thing about crate training and potty training and things like that, about what should be in the crate, what size should the crate be. That's a whole other other thing. We have literally countless videos on that particular thing, because keep in mind, a lot of what Ken and I are saying is 1 or 2 tips, but we have 50 tips for each thing.
Right.
we would be here till next year if we did every tip for every question.
Also, maybe we could get one of the crate training playlists dropped in the chat from one of the moderators that you might find helpful at home. So you mentioned let us sleep.
Do you have any other non-house training questions? I feel like it's all been house training.
I know it's been pretty heavy there. You mentioned a little bit, let a sleeping puppy lie. Don't wake a sleeping puppy up. So how many hours a day should I let them sleep? I
would let them sleep as long as they want to.
Right.
I've never controlled how much my puppies sleep
Totally.
ever.
More importantly, you're controlling how much time they're not asleep.
Yeah.
You are making the most.
You're basically doing what you can so that they go to sleep.
That's right. That is the plan. And that doesn't mean, especially when you have a young dog in training, regardless of their age or whether you consider them a puppy or not, you are making the most of that time with that dog. We have all kinds of videos on YouTube that talk about tricks and exercises and skills and things that you can do with your dog, but it's all about efficiency. And also, when you're in those early stages of training, really focusing on playing a game of tug with your dog, or working some restrained recalls. We love doing that with new dogs and puppies in our home, and as well as working on those things with our students. It's exercise, but you also get the value of learning response to name. Your dog is engaging directly with you. I really want you to think about what's the value of this moment with this dog right now when they're out of their kennel or crate. Because everything, they're learning all the time. Whether they're learning the good stuff or they're learning the bad stuff, they're learning. And sometimes it's hard to tell the difference between the two until it's too late for you.
Yeah.
So be efficient and purposeful with your time with your dog.
Yeah, it's really important that when your puppies are out of their crate and they're hanging out with the family or spending time with you, you really want to be doing something with them. When our puppies are under 7-8 months old, we never really just let them wander around the house and do their own thing, because a dog that's that young are just not naturally going to make good choices. And I would rather spend my time telling them they're making great choices rather than saying like, oh, no, don't do that. Oh, don't touch that. Oh, no, 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 no. So, when they're out, you should be doing stuff with them. And then what happens is because they're very physically and mentally stimulated, because we're engaging with them so much, they do want to sleep. They want to go in their crate and then settle and have a little bit of recuperation time. And that's the goal. That's what we're hoping. And eventually, as they get older and maybe you don't need to use your crate anymore, you have a dog that's happy to go find somewhere and lie down and chill out and, not constantly have to be entertained. That's the goal. That's the aim.
Totally. Welcome, Heather Springer, a new Heart Dog supporter.
Hello.
Great question. Is it okay to leave their collar on in the crate so I don't have to put it on and off all of the time?
Definitely. Yep. Our dogs' collars are on them basically all of the time. And
it's fit though.
Yeah.
The last thing you want is a puppy. You don't
want to get caught on anything.
Yeah, that's really loose and sort of hanging off of them.
Yeah, and well fit means that we keep it sort of, I don't want to say snuggly, but snuggly.
Yeah.
Just snug enough that you can fit like 2 fingers. And when our puppies are growing, we have our hands in that collar and we're checking it every single day to make sure that it's never too tight. But if it's too loose, you don't want it to be able to catch on something. Just be aware of the quality of the collar. But yeah, absolutely. You can keep a collar on them all the time. In fact, when I have a puppy, I often will have a collar with some type of identification or something on them because they don't have any training or anything yet. Heaven forbid they, get away or something happens. So we would recommend for control and for safety that you do keep a collar on your puppy all the time. Yeah. But as Ken mentioned, just make sure it's good quality and it's well fit just for safety purposes.
Well, and also it allows you to clip that house line on and off so easily. You don't have to fuss around with it.
You can pick them up more easily. You can, everything is easier when they're wearing a collar.
That could have been a question, I suppose.
That's a good one.
Let's see. Oh, this is good. When can I take my dog for a walk?
Well, define walk.
Right. Yeah.
So we have a couple different ways that we quote unquote walk our dogs. And in the traditional sense of what you guys probably envision walking your dog is, I put the leash on and I head out around my neighborhood and take my dog for a walk. So if we're talking about traditional walking, personally, I would not be, be doing that with my puppy or dog or whatever age, unless they understood how to do that with good manners and good listening skills. Yeah. Which means they're not pulling on the leash, they're not barking at every person and dog they see, they're not constantly trying to grab things off the sidewalk and inhale them, they're not dragging me here and dragging me there. You have a dog that actually walks at your side with a nice loose leash that, hangs out and you guys can enjoy your walk together. And honestly, to get something like that takes several months. For some people, even longer to accomplish that because walking becomes a lot harder if you're walking them from a really young age. And for 6 months, they are, barking at other dogs and grabbing things and pulling and dragging you. And then all of a sudden you get fed up with it and you're like, well, now you're not going to pull. Right. The dog's like, well, you just let me for 6 weeks or 6 months. So, what's it to you? So when my dog is going through walking training, we usually start at around 4 months old. But prior to that, the type of walking I do before my dog has formal walking training is typically more like casual hang out with my dog. So they would be on a long line, typically like a 25 foot long line. And that's what I would sort of let them mill around my backyard on, or, a local park or whatever it might be, where I have the ability to not have any tension on the line. I do not want my young dogs to learn about tension on the collar because I'm going to train them as they get big enough to avoid that type of tension. So absolutely, sometimes when we say like you shouldn't be walking your puppies, people are like, well, what am I supposed to do? Just keep them inside all the time? No, that's not what we mean. That would be stupid. You want to do stuff with your dog. So if I have a young puppy that I need to exercise, I'm outside and I'm playing chase games. I'm outside and playing, Ken holds the puppy and I call their name and I take off and they chase me for a tug toy or to chase me to, grab some treats, or I'm practicing hide and seek games or whatever. I'm outside actively doing something with my puppy that sort of keeps him engaged, but I avoid the whole leash pulling thing, so that I can bide the time to train them not to pull on the leash, which takes weeks and for some dogs months to do. So I think that's a really good question. So you can take them for a walk when they're ready to go for a walk.
Yeah.
And the better trainer you are and the more successful your foundation is, the earlier it's going to be for you.
So walk is not good exercise. And so many people think that like, oh, this is what I do to get my dog some exercise.
It depends like what you're doing for walk. Like the walks that we do, we haul them back. Then we go through the woods and we go for a little trail walk, and they run up and down the trail. And then we come back, we put the leashes back on, and we walk by the house. But I can only do that because they know not to pull on the leash. And also when I go to the park and I take their leash off, I know with 100% certainty that they're not going to run away. That is good exercise. And that allows you to bring a dog home who's now exhausted themselves, and they're more than happy to just all go find a spot in the living room and, KO for the next few hours. But if you're just throwing a leash on your dog and you're doing a token, half-hour walk around the neighborhood, for a lot of dogs, if that's their only form of physical exercise, you often will see issues with their energy and their behavior because they do not have a good enough outlet.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It looks like we're having some more audio issues. Isn't that funny? I don't know why exactly, but we'll have to see. I don't know. We can't see anything on our end, at least so far. Anyway, hopefully we're back. It's just a frame rate thing. Anyway, okay, yeah, I love that in the that saying instructor Steve always says, like taking your dog for a walk and teaching your dog to walk are two totally different things. So I think that's an important thing to remember. Here's a popular question: what treats work best for training?
I feel like I'm answering every question by saying it depends on the dog.
As we should, and that's really important because there is no definitive answer for dog training. Everything is inherently nuanced. A little bit here, a little bit there. There are no real. There are very few always and nevers. In training your dog. So this is why.
Snobby store-bought treats, which means they don't like treats that have a bunch of fillers and stuff in it. They want like cheese and hot dog and leftover chicken breast and things like that. That is the best for their belly. But what I would recommend and encourage you to think about is, if you had 10 treats laid out before, 10 different types of treats laid out before you, you want to get to know your dog well enough that you could rate those 10 treats from like least favorite to most favorite. Yeah. Because that is sort of like a bit of a superpower when it comes to training, because now what I can do is know that when I'm, working with my dog and I'm in a really low distracting environment and there's not much going on, well, I can go from my lower value treat pile knowing that that's going to be good enough. But if I'm, starting to do walking training for the first time, or I'm, working on recall training and I'm out and about and there's lots going on, well, I'm going to go to the higher value side of the pile and make sure that I have something that's a little bit more motivating and enticing.
Enticing. Or enticing.
Yeah, I don't know what else I was.
Whatever gets them.
I think I was going to say intensive for my dog, and that would be really, really helpful. Often when I'm training a young dog, I'll have my bait bag, and then I'll have like a Ziploc full of this kind of treat here, a different kind of treat here, a different kind of treat there, and I'll just kind of rotate through them depending on what my dog needs in the moment, because lots of times if you use one treat, the dog's good for like 5-10 minutes maybe, and then they're kind of sick of it. Just switching out to something different can kind of re-engage their attention. So it just depends. But just as a blanket statement, you want to use, especially for training specifically, you want to use treats that are very small in size, like the size of like a raisin or like top of a pencil eraser or something like that. Very small. It should be like a little snack, not a meal, that you can feed, multiple pieces. And it also should be something that they don't have to like chew to swallow. They should be able to down the hatch right away.
Yeah, like a semi-soft.
Yeah, semi-moist
Yeah.
type of treat, so that your dog isn't, you're feeding it for something and then they're like sitting there chewing for 10 years and you could have done 5 other exercises by the time they swallow the treat. So they should be really easy to eat. They should be small, and they should have a motivation level that is enticing for your particular dog. And lots of variety is really helpful because a lot of young dogs have a very short and small attention span, and being able to kind of switch it up sometimes can make all the difference.
And something stinky often works really well. We have a recipe for like homemade tuna treats that all dogs seem to love. I hate making them because I dislike tuna so much, but the dogs love them. So it's worth, if we have a young dog in the house, or if we're bringing treats to class as a really great distraction, tuna treats are the way to go. It's remarkable how well they work. It's too bad they're so disgusting. I like this one. When can my dog meet other dogs? So this is a sort of a multi-tiered approach. So let's say going out for a walk kind of idea. When could a dog meet another dog?
Again, this would be age and temperament and training ability level dependent. So we'll talk about age first. If your puppy is under 12 weeks old, I would advise you to be very careful about, what type of interactions that you give your puppy before they've received all of their vaccinations, typically around this area anyways, our side of the world. They get their second set of puppy shots and their immune safety as per around the 12-week mark. So that could be a good starting point. The other thing you want to think of is have your puppy long enough that you already have a good baseline on what their personality is like. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing to allow your puppy to meet and play with other dogs, but the setting in which you do so and the types of dogs you allow your puppy to meet could potentially, make or break how they behave and how they feel around other dogs. I just saw someone say, I will not take my dog to a dog park. Yeah. I agree. I would also never take my dog to a dog park, but don't let that confuse you. I would let my puppy interact with other dogs, but I would do it in a safe place where I can control that the puppy can come back to me when I need them to. And I also would pick and choose the types of dogs or puppies that my puppy interacts with, which I know is going to elevate my puppy's confidence and feelings about other dogs. So if I have a dog that's a bit soft or a bit mild or a bit unsure, I'm not letting them play with that rough and tumble Labrador because my friend says it's nice. I'm just not going to do that because I don't want my puppy to get hurt. I don't want my puppy to get scared. I don't want my puppy to be worried. Or maybe you have the bully puppy. Maybe you have a puppy that's big for its britches. Well, I'm not going to let my bold puppy play with my friend's 15-year-old Shih Tzu. I'm not going to do that because that's not fair. So I think sometimes, and also when people say to you, oh, don't worry, he's friendly, please hear me when I say 99% of the time, they do not have a hot clue whether their dog is friendly or not. We see so many people that come into our classes and say, oh, my dog's friendly. And I look at that dog for 5 seconds and I can tell you for a fact that if they let that dog off of the leash, not that it would eat everybody in the room, but it would act inappropriately, which could really scare or hurt our other dogs. So, I really want you to think about making sure that you choose your dog's friends wisely. I think I just said that. And when you have a puppy, honestly, meeting other dogs is it should be at the bottom of your list. You have so many other things that you should be focusing on with a young puppy besides meeting other dogs. It's really just, I swear it's not as important as you really think it is. We want to be working on training. We want to be working on relationship. We want to be working on worldly experiences. I can socialize my dog without my dog ever seeing another dog for the first little bit. I can introduce him to places and sounds and footings and experiences. It doesn't need to be with other dogs, but I think some people are just so freaking obsessive about their dogs meeting other dogs, and then they just have a whole
bad idea.
list of problems.
Yeah,
so it's just not that important.
Great question, or great conversation in the chat. Stephanie had asked, like, what's wrong with the dog park? And Shadow of the Flame, it's unpredictable. Devera said, everyone doesn't take care of their dogs. And it goes a little bit deeper than that. So
they don't watch their dogs. They sit on their phone. They're not paying attention. They don't know how to read body language. Dogs are posturing. Oh my God, honestly, I could just go on and on and on and on.
Totally, yeah. And you do have to be really careful, because all it takes is one bad event for your dog, whether they're a puppy or they're a 9-year-old, whatever, absolutely solid temperament, happy family dog. Takes one bad event and it changes everything. There's such a huge amount of behavioral training that we get dogs in for, and it's a single event at the dog park.
Yeah.
People.
I know of dogs that have been killed at dog parks.
I know. It's really.
We see the extreme.
I mean, that
obviously,
is the extreme, yeah, for
because
sure.
the amount of dogs that we interact with, obviously, we're going to see all of the things.
Yeah.
But also, too, there's lots of people that say like that they want to take their dog to a dog park to socialize them, so they'll be nicer with their dogs.
I know.
You're not using my 12-week-old puppy as a guinea pig for you to decide that your dog needs socialization. So if you go to a dog park with like a friend that has like a really great, well-matched dog, and there's no one else there, go for it. Have fun. That's perfect.
It's a great safe space.
But somebody comes up that you don't really know and you're not really sure, scoop those puppies up and get the hell out of there.
Kayla and I were traveling, this is a few years ago, and it was a long trip. It was like a 24-hour drive.
I think we were driving home from Florida.
And we found a dog park. It was a park on the way home. We thought, this is a great place to let the dogs stretch their legs. And it was a dog park. We thought, like, ooh, let's just see what's going on. It was perfect. There was nobody there. It was this beautifully fenced area with all sorts of training space. So we took our dogs in, 3 or 4 of them, and we just like had them run around and did whatever. And then we saw from the parking lot, out of the corner of our eye, someone coming with a happy-go-lucky, I think it was a golden. I'm pretty sure it was a golden retriever, maybe a lab. Yeah.
On the end of the leash.
Probably a wonderfully friendly dog, but we weren't going to take the chance. As soon as someone showed up, we were out of there. Our dogs had a great opportunity to do their thing and run around a little bit. The best part about a dog park is when no one is there. What's the value of having your dog interact, chase around, run and play with other dogs?
Yeah.
What's the value?
We also have a toy poodle, and we also have a border collie. We have a toy poodle who's very small, so she can get hurt. We also have a border collie that is, I wouldn't say that she doesn't like other dogs, but she's not a super confident dog. Yeah. So she's not immediately going to be walk up and be like, oh, let's be friends. Yeah. She's going to be suspicious. She's going to go, I don't really know. And she doesn't need that.
Yeah.
She's got lots of friends. She doesn't need more.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I think we answered that pretty
I think our stance on dog parks is pretty clear.
Yeah, honestly, and it's for your benefit. If you are thinking, maybe I'd like to take, I heard someone the other day, maybe I was talking to a trainer that said someone got a dog so that they could go through the ritual of going to the dog park. They were looking forward to getting a dog so that they could go to the dog park. And I thought, oh no.
I think you were talking to Julian.
Oh no.
Like that's a Julian thing.
Yeah, I was so worried because I just know what can happen so quickly.
I mean, it does look cute in movies when everybody's sitting with their Starbucks and just chilling out, but we know the truth.
Worst case scenario for me. Okay, how often does your dog need to be in their crate? Now, whether it's a puppy, I mean, it's a dog in training, and then let's talk about a little bit.
The word need is throwing me off.
Right? Yeah.
Need
absolutely.
or should?
So this is the question: how often do they need to be in their crate? How often does my dog need to be in its crate? Is the question.
In the early stages, lots.
Right.
Lots. They need to be in their crate when you can't give them all of your attention.
Yeah.
And in the early stages, sometimes if you take 24 hours out of a day and you add up sleeping and work and, helping your kids with the homework and taking a shower and doing the laundry and all the times that it's better off for your puppy to be in a crate, they probably are going to have more hours in the day in the crate when they're out of the crate. And that is really normal. People are often shocked by that. But Ken said this at the very top of the show. It's quality over quantity. So if I have a day where my puppy happens to be in the crate a little more than I would really prefer, you better believe when they're out of the crate, I am making sure that my puppy's getting lots of training, lots of attention, lots of affection, lots of play, lots of focus so that I don't have to feel guilty when they have to be in their crate a little bit more often. And the reason why we raise puppies this way is I want to make sure that when my puppy is out of the crate, that they are just getting really top quality information from me, because I want to make sure that I'm not allowing my dog to, or my puppy to, learn bad habits or get into mischief or hurt themselves, because my goal is as they learn the rules of the home and they become better trained and they listen better and they make good choices, that crate time becomes less and less and less and less and less until eventually you don't need it anymore. Now, Ken and I still use crates with our dogs from time to time. Yep. Our dogs travel in crates in our vehicles for safety. My dog's in crates at competition. My dog's in crates on an airplane. My dogs go in crates when I'm at work and I'm teaching. If they're not my demo dog, they're in a crate while I'm teaching. So our dogs are in crates quite often, which is maybe a bit different than the average pet home.
And you want your dog comfortable.
Yeah, you
with
don't
a
want to
crate.
put it away exactly, because there's lots of times where it would be helpful to still use it.
I mean, I spent 8 years as a firefighter, and it just the other day I went into a home for an emergency, and the dog was hard to wrangle and barking and going crazy all over the place, and it was a challenge, to get emergency services in there. And luckily, one of the family members was able to scoop them up and go upstairs. But wouldn't it be so easy or nice to be able to put your dog in their crate? They go to the vet. Vets often talk to us about, like, we love how much, number one, handling you guys work on in your programs, but also, like, how often
comfortable they are in the crate.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they're hooked up to IVs. Sometimes they've just had surgery, and then you take that poor dog who's been, in a stressful situation, and then you put them in a crate because they have to be, and then like they're so anxious because they're not used to being in a crate. So it's important. But anyways, back to the original question: how often do they need to be in the crate? Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots when they're in the early stages of their training, making sure that we're balancing that out with really good interactions with them and energy and focus and entertainment when they're out of their crate. And then as time goes on, it can be less and less and less. And you'll know based on your dog's behavior. You'll know based on, the choices that they make in the house and how well they listen and all of that type of stuff. But again, I don't want to put like hours on it because everybody's schedule is different. But I will leave you with one extra tip: is if you're a person that works from home, you don't necessarily you still should do the crate thing, even though you're at home. A lot of people say, well, I'm home, why would I put them in a crate? Because crate training is not just about prevention of chewing and house training. You might have both of those things solidly finished. It's also about learning to control their freedom. It's also about teaching your puppy to have an off switch. It's also about not having to entertain them every single second of the day. You want them to have a place where they can go and power down and be chill. We have a 14-year-old border collie, and we never crate him. However, in every aspect of his life, he usually has access to a crate. We leave the door open, and even though he has the choice, he's almost always in his crate on the big fluffy bed in there, upside down with his legs pointing up in the air, because he knows it's his place. The other dogs aren't going to go in and bug him there. He's going to get a good sleep, but he was raised as a young puppy to know that that's his place. So he feels really good about it.
Yeah. Dana Vokey with the super chat. Dropping the super chat in here.
So funny.
Thank you for the super chat, Dana. Notice dog beds stacked on top of each other in some of your videos. What's the story behind this, Kale?
Okay, this is a Kale thing. And I wish that I could give you like some specific reason, like, oh, it makes this happen. But the God honest truth is that I really like dog beds. I buy them on a regular basis, and sometimes I just stack them on top of each other because there's nowhere else to put them.
Dana, this is all you. This is all.
And there really is no, I don't know. It's hysterical. Literally off to the right at this point, there's 3 beds stacked on top of each other just to the right of me. So I like dog beds. There's really no special reason. However, I will say that when you're doing bed training, where you teach the dog to go and lay on the bed and then stay there, when it is elevated and there's like a significant lip or drop down of being on the bed or off the bed, it does make teaching the bed easier because it's a very clear threshold about whether you're on the bed or off the bed. But truly, that's only a small reason why I do it. The real reason is just I have lots of dog beds and I double them up. Also, my poodle and we have a Whippet cross as well. And the cushier, the more soft, the better in terms of Five Alive's choices of where he will lay.
Yeah, actually, I remember one of our, I can't remember if it was like for YouTube or one of our other puppy classes or something. You showed some luring behavior on the bed, and it was like ended up in a 2-on 2-off, and he sort of went up and down them. I can't remember.
I pushed the top bed back, so it was like steps.
Yeah.
And I was just because they were like soft. I think he was like really young, and I was just luring him down and up them just to give him a little experience. It wasn't really anything super.
In hindsight, what a great way to teach the dog to work a little bit harder for food, to follow the food with a little bit more difficulty.
Totally,
I think that's really important. So I have to make an announcement. So I guess we've been having a bunch of audio issues and a bunch of video issues. I don't see it on our end, so it might once in a while YouTube gets some hiccups along the way. So I apologize for that. But what I have discovered is that instructor Aaron, who's oversees the online training division, has mentioned that because there's been so many issues tonight, she actually wants to create a coupon code for anyone that's in the stream, or if you in the next 24 hours. So if you're watching the VOD of this, on Friday or whatever day it might be where you live, you'll have access to this discount. This is the biggest discount we've ever given ever.
What is it?
I'm pretty pumped about this because Instructor Aaron has created a discount, $50 off any of the classes, Puppy Essentials, Online Puppy Essentials, Online Puppy Life Skills,
exclusive to online.
No, exclusive to online classes. Yeah, that is pretty awesome. Now the coupon code is Start Smart, all one word.
Start Smart.
Start Smart. And if Instructor Aaron, could you drop that just in the chat so these guys have access? Yeah, there it is. So that's pretty cool. Maybe it's a good thing that our audio has been all janky tonight. I'm not really sure what's been going on. I can't see it on my end. But anyway, you have access to that. So if you have a dog in training, maybe you've been like, geez,
have a dog that needs training.
Yeah, that's right. Or you've got a new puppy or you're getting a new puppy. This is a great opportunity to sign up for classes and interact with us. Maybe you enjoy just chatting with dog trainers online. This is the right place to do it because you'll have access to our online training team, be able to send in video, get it reviewed, have a back and forth. They get to learn about your dog as well as coaching calls. So I'm excited. I'm excited about that. That's very cool that you did that. So thank you.
And just real quick, if you have a puppy that's under 4 months, you would be looking at our Puppy Essentials program. And if you have a dog that's over 4 months, you'd be looking at our Life Skills program.
Very cool.
Yeah, and it's great. And it is quite different than our YouTube videos. There's like a step-by-step whole program with a bunch of different exercises that you're going to follow all the way through.
But it's also interactive. Like, that's the point.
For sure.
That's what you need.
You're not just like watching a video and then fending for yourself.
Yeah.
There's a lot of support that goes with the program, which we're really proud of. And then also, too, we have some live events that you can attend similar to this, except we would be answering literally every single one of the questions. And it would be a much smaller, more intimate group. Everybody's sort of aligned in like the problems and stuff that they're having with their dog. So it really is quite a fantastic program, both of them, that we're really proud of.
Okay, so how do I stop my dog from chewing the house line? Now, I actually saw a question a little bit earlier about someone. Someone had a puppy who was getting away or had just gotten access to a new room. They had a house line on, but they were still digging in the potted plants or something like that was the gist. And this all comes back to sort of the same answer. But let's talk a little bit about how you stop some of these behaviors in your home that are really frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, stopping your puppy from chewing the house line is exactly the same thing you would do when you stop your puppy from chewing on your Uggs or your, I don't know. I had a puppy chew Uggs one time, and it still comes up in my dreams.
That's right. Nightmares.
And, it's the same thing. Number one, you've got to supervise them. Number two, you've got to interrupt them, make chewing on the line not enjoyable. And then once they sort of say, oh, I guess I'm not supposed to do that, then you can, of course, redirect them to something that they should be chewing instead. But I think sometimes people have a false understanding about what we mean when we say put a house line on your puppy for control. They put it on, and I don't know whether they think the house line is just going to train their puppy for them. But the house line is a tool. It allows you to be able to have follow through. It allows you to be able to have good timing. But honestly, when puppies are chewing the house line, in my experience, after having a bit more back and forth with with that student, they're not wearing the house line enough. They're only using it from time to time, and when they put it on, it's like a novelty. The puppy's really excited about it. But basically, we want it to be like an extra appendage for your puppy. We want them to drag it around so much that, our puppies also chew on the house lines the first couple days that we have them home. But because they wear it so much, and we don't let them chew on it, we interrupt them, we stop them. They don't get to chew on it for 5 minutes, and then somebody come around and then stop them. The second it goes in their mouth, boom, we're on top of it right away. That it just doesn't become a thing. But I think people just don't supervise. They're not consistent. They don't use it enough, all of those types of things. But it's very simple.
Yeah, Shadow of Flames, good question. Notice you guys never talk about clickers. And in all of our programs, well, in some of our programs, there is an opportunity to use something like
some of our higher levels, we use
clicker.
it for precision training or trick training and things like that. You can use it with puppies as well. But typically, when we're starting off with our foundational training, we like to use our voice. Yeah. We like to use our voice to pinpoint.
It's the thing you always have with you.
Yeah.
It's always available, ready to reinforce that great choice that your dog might make.
Yeah. We use the word yes as our marker word. So instead of a click, we use the word yes. It's short and sweet, and we can use it. You also can change the inflection in your voice when you're really excited about something as well. So we typically just use yes instead. But the concept of dog does the correct behavior, we click. Dog does the right behavior, we say yes, and then we follow that with a reward. So we use the concept the same way as we do a clicker, but we just use the word yes instead. But again, nothing wrong with a clicker, but it's helpful to, if you are going to use a clicker, also train them yes.
Yeah.
Because like Ken said, you have it on you all of the time. Yeah. You don't have to worry about having treats in this hand, leash in this hand, clicker in this hand.
Totally.
It can be a bit of a pain in the butt sometimes. But again, there's nothing wrong with using it. But we usually just don't start off that way. Or for some people never use it, and it works totally fine.
Yeah. Someone pointed out what is a house line, because maybe we didn't breeze over that. Yeah, we actually have one in the studio here, in the train station, right here. This is a house line. It's a 5-foot cotton web leash. We actually used to suggest to all of our students and anyone we were talking to go out and go get a cheap dollar store leash and then cut the handle off it, cut the loop off it. But what we discovered is that so many dollar store leashes had crappy clips that we decided to make our own. And that's what this is, available at mccandogs.store.
It's so handy.
Yeah, it is. Honestly, it's the best training tool you can have for any dog. Any dog. I mean, if they're a dog in training, you want to have a house line new to your home. Mm-hmm. We have them on all of our puppies. We put them on our 7-year-old border collie when we rehomed him. If he was out and around,
we didn't rehome him. We brought him into our home.
Into our home. Yeah. But, this just goes on all the dogs that are new to our household because it gives you so much more control. You can interrupt them when, they're about to make a bad choice. If something happens.
Stop them from going behind the couch when they've just stolen one of your socks.
Yeah. Oh, it's just such a value. It is the most valuable tool. When I talk
They try and steal the tea towel off your stove.
That's right, yeah. When I talk to puppy students, or when I would talk to puppy students and we discuss why this was so important, it was like the next week they're like, oh my gosh!
How did I live without one?
I know. Yeah, I can't believe how good this is.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we don't want you to have the same failure that other dollar store shoppers did. So we made our own. It's mccandogs.store. You can check it out. Puppy House Line. Super valuable tool. I feel like we've had a great night answering lots of interesting questions. I hope that you have enjoyed it. I apologize for whatever the audio issues were tonight, but Because of that, Instructor Aaron has dropped a massive discount on the online programs. So maybe we will see you in our online training programs like as soon as tomorrow. So yeah, this coupon or this discount is available for 24 hours. So, if you're on the fence, make a decision. Choose which side of the fence you're jumping on. This is a great opportunity. I will tell you, the best money I ever spent on my dog ever, long before I was a trainer or a teacher, a student even at McCann's, was...
or knew me.
Yeah, or long before I knew Kale, because I went there as a student, and I'd spent all kinds of money on everything. Clips and collars and harnesses and leashes and this and that and sprayers and things. And then I took training. I went to McCann Dogs and took training, and it changed the course of my life with that dog. I believe in it so wholly that I'm excited for you to have an opportunity to get into this program. So anyway, enough of the pitch. That's how strongly I believe it, though. It will change the course of your life with your dog, and I'm excited for you to have that opportunity.
Also, it's really fun.
Yeah, it is super fun. Totally. And the trainers are amazing.
Yes.
So you get to hang out with them. Anyway, huge thank you to all of our Heart Dog supporters. Huge thank you to our McCann Dogs team with us tonight with all of the teaching, all of the training, all of the things that we've talked about tonight. The rest, my friends, that is up to you.
See you next time.
Happy training.